Good morning, everyone. First of all, let me thank all of our community leaders that are standing here in solidarity. I have to say that it's kind of sad we're standing here because this has been several months now that this egregious attacks from the federal government continue. So we're standing here because since June, the beginning of June, what started in LA has now spread around the country, and we knew that it would. We said at that time that LA was being used as the laboratory and that the egregious, unconstitutional behavior from our federal government was going to start here and spread around the country. We know that this has impacted undocumented immigrants who in Los Angeles are Angelenos because we don't make the distinction. They are neighbors and workers contributing to our city, and they continue to be swept up in these actions, denied their rights, and subjected to fear and uncertainty without legal protection. But we're now concerned that there's not so much attention that is being paid to this in Los Angeles. But we will continue to say that this is not acceptable. We will continue to resist normalizing and accepting this, even though there has been what I consider an egregious decision from the Supreme Court that has essentially said that racial profiling is okay. But we know in the history of our country, the Supreme Court has stood for justice, and the Supreme Court has stood for injustice at certain periods of time. And when the Supreme Court has backed injustice, such as segregation and Jim Crow, it took mass social movements to have a new Supreme Court that would stand with the American people. So in addition to undocumented individuals being detained, we also know that legal residents, people who were attending court hearings, were detained, and we now know that there is evidence of over 170 U.S. citizens who have been detained. And it's important that we say today that what is happening to undocumented immigrants is also happening to U.S. citizens, which means that this can happen to anyone, to all of us at any period of time. I have had meetings with many organizations, many of the organizations that are represented here today. We have met and we've talked about what do we do now in this time period. One thing that we know is we continue to draw attention to this issue. But on Friday, I held a meeting with one coalition called One LA, and they talked about the need and the desire to begin documenting this injustice, and that maybe we should have field hearings to begin to document it, because when injustice is documented, then when things change politically, laws can be put in place so that this never happens again. Well, I knew that in this area, we were so fortunate to have a member of Congress right from our county, former mayor of Long Beach, who was elected to Congress just a couple of years ago. That's right. Who was elected by his peers to be the lead Democrat on the Government Reform and Oversight Committee. That is the committee that conducts investigations. And so I called my friend and colleague, Congressman Garcia, and I talked to him about this idea of having hearings and asked him, would he lead an investigation into this injustice, and would he lead the effort to have hearings so that we can make sure that this never happens again. And so with that, I'd like to ask the ranking member, the lead Democrat from the Government Reform and Oversight Committee, Congressman Robert Garcia. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I just want to first just thank you all for being here, especially, of course, all the incredible activists and leaders and organizers, members of the council, but especially I want to thank Mayor Bass. And I think there are few leaders, not just here locally, but across the country, that have done more, spoken out more forcefully, have been able to actually bring community together the way the mayor has done this, not just here in Los Angeles, but as a leader for the country on immigration, on issues of justice, and ensuring that people have basic dignity. I want to thank you, Mayor, for your work. And one of the great benefits of our mayor here in Los Angeles is she understands Congress. And having served in Congress, she also knows the ability for us to hold those accountable that are harming our people here in our communities and in our country. Now, we know that right now, Donald Trump and Kristi Noem are terrorizing immigrants, working people, the people of Los Angeles and of our state every single day. They violate the law and they violate the Constitution. They forget that the Constitution protects all persons and provides due process, not just for citizens, but for all people.
That's right.
We're here to remind Donald Trump and Kristi Noem that we will hold them accountable for their unlawful actions against our community and the United States Constitution.
Yeah.
And while Kristi Noem sends her agents, deputizes ICE and other law enforcement to terrorize communities, she has now just yesterday purchased 2 private luxury jets at $170 million so she can travel around and continue her reign of terror on people across this country. But we're not going to back down. Now, Mayor Bass, I'm grateful for your support and your leadership. Mayor Bass and I talked just last week, and she is committed to ensuring that every single moment of terror, of injustice that happens here in Los Angeles and really across the country is recorded, and that we take note of every instance where people are being harmed. And so today I want to announce that the House Oversight Committee Democrats are going to record and create an investigative unit here to ensure that in Los Angeles, we look into every single brutal misconduct that ICE is committing. And it's not just going to be in the House. I'm also excited to announce that the Senate and Senator Blumenthal has agreed that the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations will join the Oversight Democrats to ensure that this is being done in conjunction with both the House and the Senate. So what does this mean? Beginning today, we are demanding that all records and documents, particularly when citizens have also been detained, and how officers are treating citizens and those being detained, are available to our committee. We want to understand what they're doing in our neighborhoods, how it is being funded. And our committee is looking at tracking and investigating DHS, Kristi Noem, and all the misconduct, brutality, and also these new arrests that are happening of U.S. citizens. Over 170 citizens are being arrested. Why? Because they look like me. Because they are of Latino origin, or because they are suspected to not be a U.S. citizen, but because they're suspected of crimes that they have not committed. We know that right now in these detention facilities, a majority of the people that are being detained have not committed a crime. Now, we're looking forward to partnering with the City of Los Angeles and the entire LA delegation, including the City Council, to ensure that we are investigating also these wrongful deaths that are happening in ICE custody. Now, some of you may know, I actually flew to El Salvador earlier this year to try and advocate for the conditions of those folks who are being held in foreign prisons, which is now happening under Secretary Noem. We must go everywhere and protect every person that we can. I also want to announce, and this is really honestly to the suggestion of the mayor, and I thank her for this. We'll be holding the very first hearing from Oversight and the Senate here in Los Angeles. And I want to invite the community. At this hearing, we want the community to come and share their stories of terror, share the stories of other family members that are being unjustly treated. And so we can take account of every single harm that is being done, because we will hold folks accountable. And I want to say one last thing, which is really important. Democrats might be in the minority right now, but we still have the power to investigate. Right. But when we win the majority and have the power to subpoena and have the power to get any document, have the ability to bring anyone forward to our committee, we are not just only going to hold Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller accountable for what they've done. Our message is clear. If you are out there and you are taking orders and committing these illegal actions, we are going to hold you accountable. And we're going to ensure that there is justice for the people of Los Angeles, California, and the entire country. Mayor Bass, I thank you for the invitation, and we look forward to launching this investigation.
I would now like to introduce Jessica Sanchez, the Director of Street Medicine Teams at St. John's Community Health Center.
Hello, my name is Jessica Sanchez. I'm the Director of the Street Medicine Team at St. John's Community Health. I was in MacArthur Park when the ICE raids happened on July 7th, when we saw the vehicles arrive on scene and literally point weapons at my staff members, telling us to get out of here with profanity. So this has become not only an attack on immigrants, it has become an attack on healthcare workers, it has become an attack on healthcare, and it has become an attack generally on the American people.
That's right.
My team is very passionate about going out in the streets every day to find some of the most vulnerable population in the area of Los Angeles. We see people that are homeless, that need wound care, that are waiting for someone to come and pick them up. And my team is now in fear, going out every day, having to face possible ICE military people in the streets. People in the clinic at St. John's are scared as well, not only our patients, but also our clinic staff, who are also very passionate about helping the most needy, the most vulnerable people of Los Angeles. We are just in complete fear in general. Everybody is. So I think it's extremely unfair that Trump has now decided to make LA cities that happen to be Democratic cities that voted against him as training grounds for military officers. This is just in general unconstitutional. It's un-American, and he is the most anti-American president that I have seen in my lifetime.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce a leader from 1LA, Hortensia Ramirez.
Thank you, Mayor Bass, Congressman Garcia, and thank you to everyone that's gathered here today. My name is Hortensia Ramirez, and I'm a leader with 1LA. I'm a parishioner at San Gabriel Mission and a involved community member. I'm the neighborhood captain for our city, and also a long-time parishioner at the mission that I've attended since I first came to San Gabriel Valley at the age of 12. Many parishioners at the mission, including myself, are customers of a local car wash in San Gabriel Valley. About a week ago, on October 10th, I received a call from a parishioner warning me that ICE agents were detaining people at the car wash. Concerned, I drove down there. When I arrived, ICE had already left, leaving several workers gathered visibly frightened and distressed. The employees' accounts described that ICE agents wore bulletproof vests and military attire. They were armed and concealed their identities. They lacked any form of identification and proceeded to swarm and chase the employees. They lacked any form of identification, but proceeded to swarm them, and they were treated with extreme violence and transported into a white unmarked van in broad daylight. They then suggested that I speak to the manager. The manager confirmed that they had detained 8 employees. 3 of them had work visas. 1 was a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
And the car wash closed down for the day and after the raid. Later that week, I followed up with the manager, and he shared that they had lost 40% of their business.
Wow.
Okay. See, he also conveyed that the employee, who was a U.S. citizen, was detained for 5 days after the raid and was not allowed to communicate with his family. He was released, but is awaiting trial for next week for reasons that are unclear to him. They're unclear to him. The employee is fearful of what ICE may do to him and does not want to speak to anyone. The other 3 employees remain in detention in Adelanto. They were informed that their work visas were no longer accepted by the current administration. Like Mayor Bass mentioned, if this can happen to a U.S. citizen, it could happen to any one of us.
That's right.
People like the employees at the car wash need a public forum to share their stories of how civil rights are being violated. One LA applauds Mayor Bass and Congressman Garcia for calling attention to these stories. We need official public hearings where citizens and non-citizens can share testimony about how the federal government is violating our rights. We must document these violations so that our constitutional, civil, and human rights do not perish. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Martha Arvelo, the Executive Director of CARESN, the Central American Resource Center.
Good morning. My name is Marta Arevalo. I'm the Executive Director of the Central American Resource Center, CARESN. Thank you, Mayor Bass, our courageous City Council members, Congressman Garcia, for your leadership and for gathering us today and for conducting these investigations and these hearings where people can get to tell their stories. I have to tell a little bit about my story to let you know what is happening in our community. In 1981, when I was almost 11 years old, my family and I had to flee El Salvador because of a civil war. It was a time where people were disappeared, were wrongfully detained, killed. Violence was everywhere, at every corner. Never in my worst nightmare did I think I would experience fascism, authoritarianism, and that level of violence once again. CARESN also manages a day labor center in front of the Home Depot located on Wilshire and Union in the Westlake area of Los Angeles. Our day labor center alone has been raided 4 times since June. Each time, federal law enforcement agents exercised more and more violence. The last time, workers and families were targeted with military-style gear and weapons. They were masked. They never asked for anything or try even to determine who is documented or an American citizen. They came early in the morning as people were going to work, as people were grabbing a cup of coffee before school, and they stormed in, fully masked, shooting tear gas canisters, shooting rubber bullets without provocation. People were attacked simply for existing, for looking like construction workers, for maybe having an accent. Whether you're a citizen or not, did not make a difference because they were never showed a warrant. They never even asked. They just shot and chased them down like animals. They tackled them. It didn't matter if you were a man or a woman, young or old, citizen or undocumented. They violently threw them to the ground, put their knees on their necks, and took them away. These actions should scare all of us. It should scare us because of the lawlessness, because today it's happening in Westlake, but tomorrow it can happen in your neighborhood. That's right. And I would like to send a message to all Angelinos to continue to speak out against what is happening in our communities. You are not alone. Don't lose hope. City leaders like Mayor Bass and the Congress member will continue to fight. Continue to document. Continue to tell your stories because they matter. You matter. Community organizations like Carecen will continue to serve and protect immigrants and will stand with you against this lawlessness. You are not alone. Solo quiero dar unas palabras en español. Mi nombre es Marta Arévalo, yo soy la directora del Centro de Recursos Centroamericanos Carecen aquí en Los Ángeles. Y quiero darle las gracias a la alcaldesa, al congresista y a nuestros concejales locales por su liderazgo. Muchísimas gracias por tomar ese liderazgo para contar nuestras historias. Lo que está pasando en nuestras comunidades es terrorismo. Nuestras comunidades están pasando miedo y violencia. Nosotros también manejamos un centro de jornaleros aquí en Los Ángeles que ha sido, han habido 4 redadas en nuestro centro de jornaleros. En la última redada tenían gases lacrimógenos, tenían balas y mucha violencia en contra de nuestra comunidad. Se llevaron a muchos trabajadores que simplemente estaban existiendo, yendo a trabajar, gente yendo a la escuela, familias yendo a la escuela comprando café. Así que es muy importante que pongan atención, que sigan luchando, que no se olviden que tienen derechos, que sigan documentando y que sigan diciendo sus historias, porque sí importan, ustedes importan. Y nosotros como líderes comunitarios o líderes políticos vamos a seguir peleando por ustedes, vamos a seguir trabajando para asegurarnos de que sus derechos no sean violados. Así que muchísimas gracias, participen en este proceso y por favor no pierdan la esperanza. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone that is here today. And let me just take a few minutes and acknowledge the organizations that are here and the leaders. And first and foremost, let me start with our members of the City Council. Isabel Jurado from District 14. And I just have to say, for each of the members of council, they have each been severely, their districts have been severely impacted by this. I remember the day you sent me a text message of the tanks of Marines that were coming through your district. Eunice Hernandez, Councilwoman, District 1. Some of the first raids, if not one of the first ones, was in your district, the Home Depot. And you have continued to experience raids in your district. And Councilman Hugo Soto Martinez. And obviously it's the individuals and the families that have been impacted in these districts, but it's also the business community as well, the jobs that are gone, the workers that are afraid to show up. The organizations represented, One LA, Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Downtown LA Neighborhood Council, Central Hollywood Neighborhood Council, Carecen, Icon CDC, Planned Parenthood, Japanese American National Museum, Chinatown Service Center, Women's March Foundation, the Program for Torture Victims, Little Tokyo Community Center, and All People's Community Center. The organizations that are represented here are a slice of what has the impact been in our city, the organizations, and the individuals that have been impacted. And I know when we have the first bill hearing with the congressman, that there will be hundreds of people and numerous organizations that have been represented. And with that, I will open it up for questions.
Yes, the mayor and the ranking member will take questions. Craig, KNNX.
Yes.
Congressman, let me start with Mike, Congressman, if I may. The first field hearing you're talking about, when would that be, even if it's a general date? And then, as a follow-up, is the government, the federal government shutdown is going to slow or impede progress in your investigation?
Well, first, let me just say that we're discussing the dates for the hearing right now, so it's something that we want to do sooner rather than later, but there's no set date, but it will be here in the city. As it relates to the government shutdown, look, let's be very clear. We have a government shutdown because Donald Trump could care less about lowering the costs for Angelenos or for people across this state and country. People's insurance health premiums are about to skyrocket because Republicans would rather give tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations in this country than instead of working class people. And absolutely not. While Republicans are on vacation, Democrats are working. We're working on this investigation, so our work won't stop as it relates to holding ICE and Christian Noam accountable.
That's right.
Mayor, can I ask you, are you confident that there will be cooperation from the federal government with federal agencies like ICE in handing over documents that will be requested?
Oh, sure, after November of next year when we take the majority back.
Cecilia, Univision.
Yes, hi, I know you have, account for the number of citizens that have been detained. Are permanent residents included in that number, or is that a
No,
separate number?
no, that's a separate number.
Do you know that number?
I do not. I don't know if any other groups do. I think that's part of the problem.
Dave, LA Times.
Hey there, I think I heard at the beginning you said that there was a concern that people might be forgetting about this phenomenon in Los Angeles. For nearly 6 months, there have been people actually protesting downtown, trying to shed light on this, and they say that repeatedly LAPD has fired projectiles on them, that LAPD has hit journalists with projectiles. What are you and your office doing to look into this, to address this, particularly since the only real movement that seemed to occur until last Friday was actually seeking to expand or continue the firing of projectiles at journalists?
I don't know about that. But let me just say that we did have over 10 marches on Saturday for No King's Day, and they were all extremely peaceful. At the very end, there was contact between LAPD and the protesters that took place, and I know a few people were arrested. But what is happening at the protests afterwards, the use of projectiles and all of that is being discussed at the police commission, and I'll be meeting with the chief in a few days.
Chance Spectrum.
Jason,
Oh,
hi.
I'm sorry. Jay.
No, it's okay. Hi, Mayor. First of all, can you just, I just want to make sure I'm clear on today's question. There is a number of, you do have a number on the number of folks who've been detained or arrested who are not citizens, and you don't have the number for people who are citizens. Can you clarify that?
No, what was said was 170 U.S. citizens have been detained, and that's not just in LA, that's in several other cities. I think, and again, if some of the immigrant rights organizations, please jump in if I'm not accurate, but one of the problems has been who has been detained in terms of people who are here legally. As a matter of fact, I believe one of the speakers mentioned, I think it was you, mentioned that there was an individual at a car wash who was detained who actually was here legally. There were people who had work visas that after they were detained, their work visas were removed. And we know that from the beginning, people who were showing up for their annual appointments, doing what they were supposed to do, were detained in the courthouse. But as far as I know, there is very little documentation that we have specifically about the numbers.
Let me add something to that, Mayor.
Yeah.
I want to add one thing. This is really an important point. Traditionally, and Mayor Bass knows this, members of Congress have been allowed to actually provide oversight at the detention centers, whether it's the downtown facility or any other facility where folks are being detained or kept. That has been an ongoing rule that is followed. It's actually a law in the United States. It has been only now Kristi Noem and Donald Trump in just the last few months where they have essentially said, we will not allow members of Congress to enter these facilities without sometimes a week's notice. It used to be, and it is the law, that a member of Congress could walk into Adelanto or the downtown facility, other facilities across the country, and you'd have to be allowed entrance immediately on the spot so that we can work with the organizations, and if there was a U.S. citizen that was being detained, we would be able to go in, ensure that U.S. citizen actually had access to a lawyer or facilities that were healthy or food and water. Right now, there is no oversight happening in these facilities, so we have no idea what is happening. We're getting reports that people don't have access to lawyers, don't have access to family, in some cases don't have access to restroom facilities or actually having food and water. And so it is illegal and a disgrace the way people are being treated, and it's happening here in downtown in federal facilities.
That's right.
Given that, Congressman, sorry, just one quick follow-up to that. Can you just explain a little bit more, give a little bit more clarity on what the oversight committee is going to look like that you're saying is going to happen here in Los Angeles?
Well, there's a couple things happening. So one piece of it is the oversight committee is doing a broad investigation as it relates to what DHS, Secretary Noem, Stephen Miller are doing with ICE and federal agents across the country, but we are specifically also looking at Los Angeles as being the center of these activities and are launching our investigative field hearings first here in LA. Separate of that, Mayor Bass and I have been discussing what's happening to U.S. citizens across the country and here in the Los Angeles area. It's the 170 we know of. There are others. It's happening every day. We're also talking about we're doing a separate specific investigation that we have partnered with the U.S. Senate on, that we've announced today, which I'm sure folks have a copy of that letter. And the Senate and Oversight Democrats are going to jointly look at what's happening to U.S. citizens as well. And so both those things are ongoing.
One more question, Calamundo.
Either
Yes,
council.
question for Congressman. Yeah, for a lot of our viewers approach us and ask us, what should they do when they witness some of this enforcement? Some don't know if they can get up close, stay far away. Can you just say what people should be doing if they want to document it? Is it a video? Is it writing down facts? Just because it's sort of unclear to a lot of people who witness it and they almost panic. So if you look at how you say when you want to document it, what is it? And then the other thing, if you have a date for those hearings, approximately when they.
Well, first, we don't have a date yet, but it'll something that we want to do sooner rather than later. We're working with the mayor on that date. As far as collecting information, let me just first start by saying that the most important thing is that people are safe and that those that are watching something that is occurring, first and foremost, think about their own safety
Yes.
in how they are engaging with law enforcement or whatever they are recording. And of course, if they are able and safe to record what is happening, we encourage them to communicate that to local groups on the ground, elected officials and offices that they can communicate the information with. The Oversight Committee, I shared this with the mayor, over the course of the next couple of weeks, the Oversight Committee will be launching on their website a master ICE tracker where we're going to be essentially tracking every single instance that we can verify that the community will be able to send us information on, and it'll be all available in one central place. And you'll be able to look up that information as it relates to Los Angeles as well.
Mr. Garcia, what is your reaction of President Trump on us defecating on the
Oh, my God, yeah. It's that, it was an instant.
Look, let me just say that one, Donald Trump is the most corrupt person to ever be president of the United States, and what he's doing and the way he's treating people is shameful. It's beneath the office of the president,
Right.
and
Right.
he needs to end his terror here in Los Angeles and across the country.
That's right.
Well, I'm sorry, what did you say? Oh, it does not deserve a reaction. It truly doesn't. Okay. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. We will talk about a date and specific follow-up. And again, I just can't thank all of the community leaders that are standing with us. I can't thank you enough. It takes a lot of trouble to come up here today. So thank you.